Hello and welcome back to Divine Messy Human. Thank you so much for spending time with us today. Today I wanted to talk to you about what is us? Which bits are us? I know it sounds a crazy, crazy question in so many ways, but we are all a product of everything that's happened in our life, past, present, everything. We bring in generational trauma from our parents' parents, and so on and so forth, keeping generational patterns going. We also have our past life stuff, if you believe in that. And when we come into this world, we come from the all that is. We come from oneness. We are part of that collective consciousness, the God source energy, universal wisdom, whatever it is that you want to call it. And when we arrive in this physical form, this limited, tiny, helpless baby body, we need to learn that we are not everybody else. We are not the doctor who delivers us. We are not the midwife. We are not the nurses. We are not our parents. We are not our siblings. We are not whomever else it is that we may identify with. And so what happens is everything that happens to us, we process, and as egoic children, we make about us. So if we are left too long to cry, or if we are not fed when we are hungry, we kind of get these subconscious messages that our needs and wants don't matter. Now, of course, our parents do not intend to implant us with these messages, but that's what we place on ourselves. Some people, obviously, much, much more than others. And it depends on how we internalize it as to what the stories we create around it are. And I love that thought of coming in as part of that soul community and coming down into this individual body and needing to learn all of those different lessons. Some obviously easier than others, some more growth inducing, but all of them here because we need to fulfill a certain purpose. I believe that we sign up and we choose our parents, we choose our siblings, we choose the scenario that we're coming to. Now, I don't necessarily believe that we have every single scenario put in front of our face. Maybe it's like a menu, I'm not quite sure. But I believe we have a choice to an extent of what we need to learn in this incarnation to bring ourselves to our fullest capacity, as not just a human being in this existence, but also as a soul being. But which bits are what? And I think that's a big question that almost gets bigger for me the more I do the healing. Which parts are my trauma parts? Which parts are my true personality? Which parts are my conditioning? Which parts are my whatever it is, the lessons that I've been taught? And discerning between those parts has been a really interesting thing for me. Some have bigger stories attached to them than others. Some have me interacting with them in a different way. I just find it really, really fascinating. And I think part of the healing journey is us deciding and discerning what it is that we want to keep and what it is that we want to cut away, or what it is that we want to reprogram. I believe we have full free will choice on that. So our trauma doesn't define us unless we really want it to, or it's not our lifetime to find those tools. Again, there is absolutely no judgment in that. I use the analogy when I'm talking about whether or not it's our choice to find the tools in this lifetime, because we chose the existence that we were going to be incarnated on. We've got a big hardware store in Australia called Bunnings, and it's a big warehouse. I believe some people drive past, don't even see the hardware store, no idea that it even exists. Other people might drive in and get a sausage from the barbecue. Other people might walk in the door and just go to one bit, maybe the gardening or the painting or the plumbing area or the lighting or whatever it is. They're happy just with the tools that they are comfortable with, and they want to maybe perfect and all of that. Other people will drive past and see it and go, just not for me. And I believe that's like our spiritual personal development journey. It really is us working out which bits are for us and which bits aren't. Now, for me, within Bunnings, I know that there is a massive castle I can build. I want to build the best, most incredible life I can. And I know that I can get everything there, metaphorically, of course. Now, I may not know how to use all of those tools. I may not know a whole heap of them even exist, but I am open to learning. My biggest value in life is self-mastery, and I want to learn about me. Now, that's not coming from a selfish perspective. It is because the more I learn about me, the more I learn about human behavior, the more I learn about human psychology, and the greater I understand not just myself, but others. It also increases my empathy and compassion for other people, which I personally love. I think it's certainly changed my life. My reactivity is less, and goodness, everything is different. But with that analogy of the hardware store, we also have to learn not to judge people for it. If they drive past and don't see it, there's no judgment in that. Likewise, if they're just getting a sausage, or if they're just in the painting or the gardening. I think it's really about having acceptance and compassion that everyone is where they are. There is a choice to be made in some parts of whether we're going to deepen and develop those tools and potentially learn others. For me, that has come in the form of trying hundreds potentially of different modalities, practitioners, different people within modalities. I remember in 2017, I was probably seeing 7 or 8 kinesiologists at different times for different things, as well as my regular one. And it was my way of finding out how different people work. It was my way of exploring what other people knew. And I've also worked with hypnotherapists and naturopaths and tapping practitioners and goodness knows what else, to really find all those parts of myself that are my trauma, that are my conditioning, that are my perceptions of the world, all of my story. Now, I don't want to get rid of any of it necessarily. I think it all adds to who I am, and I've learned to love that person over the last 7 to 10 years. And that's something I never thought I'd be able to say. So it's a pretty big step for me to be able to admit that. And also, in that process of finding out all of these different things about myself, I have been able to repattern and reprogram, find the parts of myself that need to be reintegrated into the whole, find the parts of myself that I had hidden away, suppressed, repressed, whatever it is, because I was ashamed of them, I was embarrassed, or I was shamed for them, and I took that on as my issue instead of the person who was shaming me for its issue. And that's why I call the process of healing holing. It's about making ourselves more whole. It's about accepting more of those exiled parts of ourselves that we can integrate into us, so that they're not fighting against the main personality, against the main part of who I am. And that's been my process in healing. I think it's really interesting because some of my traumatized parts are actually so deeply ingrained. They're part of my cellular structure, my cellular memory. And I go back to them because they feel safe for me. In fact, I've just been through a big dark night of the soul, which has been harrowing and, oh my goodness, full on. And what I realized in that is that I do still go back to, I want to save the world. And I put a lot of pressure on myself to do so. And as a result, I get overwhelmed, overtired, more reactive, more grumpy, all of the things. And I don't find the same joy in my work because the burden of trying to heal the world is too overwhelming. And it's not my job. I actually had to remember to sack myself again at the beginning of last week and remind myself that I am not the general manager of the universe. I am not God. It is not my job to sort all this shit out. And that has been so magnificent for the last 2 weeks. I've felt my entire energy change. I've felt my love and spark and joy reignite because I'm less pressured. I'm less weighed down. It is no longer my job to fix everybody and everything around me. It is just my job to spread the word, spread the light, have conversations with incredible people, to show up fully as myself in healing sessions that I facilitate, to work with clients and to hold space for them as they navigate their healing journey. And one of the big awarenesses through all of that, of course, is it isn't my job to fix anything. If I fix things the way I think they should be fixed, then I'm going to be fixing them to my idea of what's right. And if that's working with an individual, then I don't know them. I may know them from our time together in clinic, or I may know them from, the time I've known them. But they have spent every single day of their life with themselves. They are their own expert. And in that, I need to trust that they know the answers. And therefore, my job is just to facilitate bringing those answers out in them. And I believe that we all have the answers for our life within us. We all know which bits of us are our main personality. And yeah, we find out things all the time through our healing journey. Bits and pieces here, bits and pieces there. But regardless, what it is, it's really tapping into which parts do we love? Which parts light us up? And the parts that we don't love, how can we bring more love to them? How can we bring more grace, more compassion, more empathy, more self-awareness to? So that rather than fighting against us, they work with us as part of a team. It's been a fascinating couple of weeks going through that dark night. And whilst there have been some very deep, dark moments, coming out the other side, there are always awarenesses. And I think one of the beautiful things is, this is where that statement comes in, be careful what you wish for. I put my hand up to ask the question, if I can see that other people are deluding themselves and are in disillusion, there must be areas I am deluding myself in. So please show me what they are. Show me the way. And when we put our hand up and ask questions like that and ask for those lessons, guess what we get? We get the answers. The example I tend to use is patience because it's a really easy one. The one I'm going through at the moment is a little bit more multifaceted, multi-layered and complex. But if we put our hand up and say, I want to learn to be more patient, guess what we are going to attract? We are going to attract lessons that test our patience until we've learned to be more patient in those situations. So we will attract the drivers who cut us off on the road. We will attract the children not getting ready in time for school. We will attract our partner not, putting things away the way we want them to. Until we respond in a more patient way, we will keep getting those lessons. And that is part of why they say, be careful what you wish for. Now, in this whole big gamut of things that I've been talking about today, all of it is us. Every single thing that we've been through adds up to the sum total of who we are today. And something I remind my clients often is, even in those unresourceful moments, we are doing the best we could. We are doing the best we can. And we've always done the best we could, because otherwise we would have done differently. And I know that to be true. When I have acted unresourcefully, I haven't been able to access the tools that I've got because I'm in a different part of the brain. If I'm in the stressed part of my brain, I can't access the creative thinking part. I can't find creative solutions to the issues that I'm having. I'm in the stress bit, which means that I'm acting in a way that my brain knows because of its conditioning through those stressful times. When I can make the big change is when I come out the other side. I'm no longer stressed and I can self-reflect. I can put in processes. I can recognize what the pre activities, so to speak, were that led up to me being in that extremely stressed state and acting unresourcefully. But the more we can learn to love and accept the fact that we came in as part of the all that is, pure love, pure peace, pure joy, pure happiness, pure God source, we need to learn that we're individuals. So we have to learn that we are not everybody around us, and that everybody around us is not us. And as we do that, we collect all the stories, we collect the traumatic events, we collect the stresses, we collect everything. And then we get to an age where we need to work out what we want to keep carrying with us, what we need to harmonize into the fold, what we need to discern to maybe cut away and get rid of, or to heal and bring back into the fold. The idea, with as much grace and love as possible, is to do as much of that without judgment as you can, remembering that you have always done the best you can in every given situation, because otherwise you'd have done differently. And when we behave in a way that we weren't necessarily happy with, there will have been lessons in that. There really will have. So I'm going to leave you with that today, sending you so much love and healing. Remember, we are all connected to the divine. We are all messy as hell. And the more we can love and accept our divinity and our messiness, the easier our human existence becomes.